If you're over 55 right now, I want you to pay very close attention to the next few minutes, because you are standing at one of the most important crossroads of your entire financial life. The years between 55 and retirement are what I'd call the decade that decides everything. What you do, or fail to do, in this narrow window will quietly shape whether your later years are spent secure and at peace, or anxious and scrambling. And here's the good news. This is not the time to panic, and it's certainly not too late. It's the time to be deliberate. Because there are a handful of specific moves that people who retire comfortably almost always make in these years, and the people who struggle almost always skip. So today I'm going to walk you through the 7 things you should do before you retire, if you're over 55. Not vague advice, actual moves. And if you do these, you can walk into retirement standing on solid ground instead of shifting sand. Stay with me to the end, because the 7th one is the thing almost everyone forgets, and it's the one that decides whether you actually enjoy the retirement you worked so hard for. The first thing to do before you retire is to find out your real number. It sounds so simple, and yet the vast majority of people approaching retirement have never actually sat down and calculated it. They have a vague feeling, it'll probably be enough, or I hope it lasts. And they carry that fog of uncertainty for years, and it quietly eats at their peace. So the very first move is to replace the fog with a number. How much will you realistically need each year to live the life you want? And how long does your money have to stretch to cover it? You don't need to be a financial genius to do this. You just need to be willing to sit down and honestly look. And here's the thing almost no one tells you. Knowing your number, even if it's smaller than you hoped, is a relief, not a burden. Because fear lives in the unknown. The moment you can see the actual gap between where you are and where you need to be, you can start closing it, and you still have time to close it. So before anything else, ask yourself, do I actually know my number, or have I been avoiding the math because I'm afraid of what it'll say? The second thing to do is to attack your debt while you still have income coming in. This is one of the most powerful moves you can make in these years, because debt behaves completely differently before and after you retire. Right now, while a paycheck is still flowing, a monthly payment is manageable. But the day that paycheck stops, that same debt turns into a slow leak in a bucket that's no longer being refilled, draining the fixed savings you have left, month after month, with nothing replacing it. So use these years, while you still have earning power, to knock down as much debt as you possibly can, especially the high-interest kind, and anything owed on things that don't pay you back. Imagine crossing into retirement owing nothing. Every dollar of your savings finally, fully yours. No payments hanging over you. People who do this describe it as one of the most freeing feelings of their lives. Debt is heaviest precisely when your income is lightest, so lighten it now, while you still can. The third thing to do is to build a cash cushion that's separate from your investments. Here's a mistake that catches so many people. They have their money invested, and then life happens. A medical surprise, a home repair, an unexpected expense, right when the market happens to be down, and they're forced to sell their investments at the worst possible moment to cover it. That single move can do lasting damage. The protection against this is simple. Before you retire, build up a reserve of cash you can reach without touching your investments. Enough to cover a good stretch of expenses and emergencies. Think of it as a buffer that lets your invested money stay invested and ride out the bad days, instead of being sold off in a panic. It's not glamorous, and it won't grow much sitting there, but its job isn't to grow. Its job is to protect everything else. So ask yourself, if a real expense hit you 3 months into retirement, could you cover it without being forced to sell at the worst possible time? The fourth thing to do is to stop leaning your whole future on a single source of income. Most people spend their working lives depending on one thing, the paycheck, and then plan to depend on one thing in retirement too. But standing on one leg is fragile at any age, and especially in retirement. So use these years to build more than one stream of money flowing toward you. Even small ones add up and add safety. Whatever your situation, the goal is the same: to arrive at retirement with money coming from more than one direction, so that if one stream shrinks or wobbles, the whole thing doesn't come crashing down. The person who retires on a single source is exposed. The person who retires on several has a floor beneath them. So look honestly at your picture and ask, how many streams would still be flowing if one of them stopped? The fifth thing to do is to adjust how your money is invested to match where you are in life. In your younger years, it made sense to take more risk because you had decades to recover from any dip. But as you approach retirement, the math changes. A big drop right before or right after you stop working can be devastating because you no longer have the years or the income to bounce back. At the same time, and this is the part people get wrong, you don't want to yank everything into cash and let it sit either, because money that just sits there slowly loses its value to the rising cost of everything over a retirement that could last decades. The wise path is the balance in between, shifting towards something more protective as you age without freezing up entirely. This is exactly the kind of decision where sitting down with a qualified professional about your specific situation is genuinely worth it, because the right balance is personal, and getting it right in these years matters enormously. The sixth thing to do is to have a real plan for healthcare, because it is one of the largest and most underestimated costs of later life. So many people build a careful retirement plan and leave a gaping hole where medical costs should be, and then a health event drains the very savings they worked so hard to protect. Before you retire, get clear on how your healthcare will be covered, what it will realistically cost, and how you'll handle the gaps. And just as importantly, invest in your actual health now: the walking, the eating well, the sleep, the checkups, because your health quietly protects both your ability to enjoy your money and your ability to keep it instead of handing it to hospitals. Your health is an asset, maybe the highest return one you have at this stage. Protecting it is protecting your retirement. So don't leave this piece to chance. It's too big to guess at. And the seventh thing to do, the one almost everyone forgets, is to plan for your time and your purpose, not just your money. Here's what catches people completely off guard. They spend all their energy on the financial side of retirement, and then they finally stop working and feel strangely lost. Because for decades their work gave their days structure, identity, and meaning, and when it's gone, if nothing takes its place, the freedom they dreamed of can quietly turn into emptiness. So before you retire, think honestly about what your days will be filled with. What will get you up in the morning? What will you build, learn, give, or explore? The happiest retirees are almost never the richest ones. They're the ones who retired towards something, not just away from a job. And while you're at it, this is the time to put your affairs in order for the people you love, the wishes, the documents, the conversations, so that what you built brings them peace instead of confusion. Money can fund a good retirement, but it can't give it meaning. That part is up to you, and it's worth planning for just as carefully as the finances. So there they are, the 7 things to do before you retire, if you're over 55. Find out your real number. Attack your debt while you still have income. Build a cash cushion separate from your investments. Create more than one stream of income. Adjust your investments to match your age. Have a real plan for your health and healthcare, and plan for your time and your purpose, not just your money. Notice that not one of these requires you to be wealthy. Every one of them is simply about being deliberate in the years that decide everything. You are standing at the crossroads right now, and the beautiful truth is that you still have time to choose the path that leads to security and peace. So tell me in the comments, which of these 7 are you going to start on first? And if you're already retired, which one do you wish you'd done sooner for the people coming up behind you? And if this gave you something worth holding on to, subscribe and stay close, because that is exactly what this channel is here for: the money wisdom that actually matters, while there's still time to use it.